morning. We will get started in just a minute if you want to grab some food and then take a seat. All right, let's go ahead and pull everybody back together and get started. So Paul Lenninger is presenting on Lutheran Confessions, but his granddaughter is getting confirmed today. So we have one individual 1 week replacement for him since he is up at a confirmation. Our speaker today is Dan Schwartz, who serves as the Asia Regional Director of Kingdom Workers. And I'll just read a quick bit from his bio because he'll tell you way more about what he does. His job is to lead and set the vision for his team as they empower Christians in Asia to be the hands and feet of Jesus in their communities. And in his bio, he said he's excited to synergize his global experiences and passion for cross-cultural service to build God's kingdom in this capacity. And if you're wondering, yes, there is a connection. Dan is Pastor Joel Schwartz's brother, so that is the connection to St. John's. And we welcome him for a presentation on Kingdom Workers.
Thank you. So I asked my 5-year-old Jason to draw a little picture about our upcoming move from Madison, Wisconsin to Chiang Mai, Thailand, where we'll be moving this summer. So this was his interpretation. He was very practical. He drew the vehicles that we're going to need to haul luggage to the airport. And the airplane flying over Canada and past Indonesia and landing in the mountains of Thailand. So that's happening in July of this year, that our family will be moving over there. And so I just want to tell you a little bit about how we got to this point where we'll be moving our family of 5 from Madison, Wisconsin to northern Thailand. 20 years ago, in 2005, I was in my 3rd year of college, and I was in an engineering program at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. And at that time, probably like a lot of kids like me who maybe went to a Christian elementary school and even a Christian high school, but at a public university, I was not really sure what my faith meant to me at that time, and probably the people around me wouldn't have looked at my behavior or my actions in my life and said, oh, that's a Christian. I would identify that person as a Christian. And I was really, really drifting in my faith at that time. So also in 2005, there was a natural disaster in the United States. It was called Hurricane Katrina. It hit New Orleans. It was the largest loss of life due to a natural disaster in the United States history. About 3,000 people died in New Orleans. And I, fortunately, by God's providence, I had the right people in my life at that time, and they knew that I was pretty idealistic. I'd been talking about graduation and maybe trying to go overseas and help people through the Peace Corps or some kind of secular organization like that. But they introduced me to another organization called Kingdom Workers. And Kingdom Workers was in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. They were first gutting homes, but then rebuilding homes for people that had been hit by the disaster. I thought it was a good opportunity to work with my hands a little bit, and so I signed up and I spent 2 weeks in New Orleans working for Kingdom Workers and rebuilding homes. And I had such a good experience that I went back for, the first one was Christmas break. I had a good experience. I went back for spring break. Had a good experience. I went back the next Christmas break, and they were still there. And I went back for another spring break. So I went 4 times in the course of 15 months. And what kept bringing me back was the group of Christians that I met there. When I volunteered for Kingdom Workers as it was Builders for Christ in New Orleans, it was really my first time in my life where I was spending time around lay people who were really excited about talking about their faith and just living their faith in such a tangible way. So it was accountants and construction workers and business managers all working together and sharing Jesus through the work that they did, but also through the gospel that they proclaimed into my life. And that really was the Holy Spirit speaking God's word through those volunteers, through those Christian volunteers, into my life and what I needed. So I ended up finishing my degree program. I got an engineering degree, but the time with Kingdom Workers inspired me to become a missionary with another WELS-affiliated organization called Friends of China. At that time, it's now called Friends Network, and I spent 5 years as a missionary in China after college. That brought me, coming full circle now, in 2022, I had the opportunity to become a full-time employee at Kingdom Workers and lead the work that's happening in Asia. So that's what I want to tell you a little bit more about today. And so Kingdom Workers' mission is to partner with Christians to share Jesus' love while they help their neighbors in real tangible ways. And the real purpose, the driving purpose behind the existence of Kingdom Workers is to give lay people opportunities to serve their neighbors, be the hands and feet of Jesus in their lives, and share the gospel. Okay, so now to Asia, and this is where I'm going to have a little bit of audience participation. So I haven't done this with a Bible study group like this in my presentation, but I did it at an elementary school presentation the other day, and it was kind of fun. So now you guys get to see if it's like a Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader kind of thing. So does anyone want to just shout it out if you know the answer?
Indonesia.
Okay, yeah, so we're good. We're in Indonesia, so level 1, that's good. The Ring of Fire in Indonesia, there are more than 100. Yeah, good. I heard volcanoes. Anyone want to be more specific? Active. Yeah, they're active. So this is a photo I took. I didn't take this actually, but a year ago I drove past Mount Merapi on the island of Java in Indonesia, and it looked exactly like this. It's just kind of smoking all the time. Okay, level 3. What's the most common religion in Indonesia? Yeah, it's a Muslim country, and one thing that I found interesting when I started working here is that every individual in Indonesia, it's actually illegal to be an atheist. You have to have a registered religion on your ID card. So while there are a large number of Christians and certain areas of the country are majority Christian, the majority religion is Muslim. Can anyone name at least one island in the archipelago of Indonesia? Java. I think I gave that one away a minute ago. Anyone else? Sumatra, yeah, good. Sumatra's here. Did somebody say Timor? So Timor is one of 17,000 islands in Indonesia. About half, or about 8,000 of the islands in Indonesia have humans living on them, are inhabited by people. At Kingdom Workers, we found a niche working with our sister synod, the Lutheran Synod in Indonesia, on the island of Timor. It's not the only island where the Lutheran Church is in Indonesia, but it's where the largest presence of Lutherans were. And so as Kingdom Workers works with lay people of the churches to help them do community service projects, we found a niche and a place to work there. This is going to be my segue into talking about how we serve people with clean water in Indonesia. But does anyone know in the United States, an average household, how many gallons of water you might use?
Over 100?
Over 100? Anyone want to go higher? 300. Over 300? Anyone? Yeah, average in the United States is about 350 per household. So depending on the individual, anywhere between 50 and 100 per individual. So if you were to do the math, and a U.S. household needed to collect its own water using a 3-gallon jug like you see there, how many trips, half-mile trips to a watering spring would you need to make every day? It'd be something over like 100 trips every day. And so when we started working in Indonesia, it became very, very clear right away that the biggest need was for clean water. We ran into, in the villages around where some of our churches are, major issues with water and sanitation, and all kinds of consequences from lack of clean water, whether it's children who spend their days fetching water and not going to school, or people with a lot of skin disease and rashes because they don't have proper bathing facilities, or even the water access to bathe the way they'd want to. So surely it is God is my salvation. I will trust and not be afraid. The Lord himself is my strength and my defense. He has become my salvation. With joy you will draw water from the wells of salvation. So in community development work, we do an exercise that we call a problem tree analysis, and I really like this because it's really descriptive of our work and how we integrate the gospel into it. So I don't know if everyone will be able to see the details of this from the back, but the basic idea of the problem tree is we draw a tree trunk, a wide tree trunk right in the middle, and we write the name of one of the major problems is that they have in their community that they want to solve. So an example of that here is they wanted to solve a problem such as painful skin sores or rashes. Then on the top, we draw a bunch of leaves and branches and ask them to start labeling what are all the consequences that you see because of this problem, in this case, skin disease, skin rashes, skin sores. And people might say things like they see loss of income because people have to stay home, they can't go to work. There's a lot of fear of transmission, maybe a fear of just being isolated from your community members because of the unsightliness or the fear of transmission. And there, of course, there's physical pain involved with that too. So after we figure out that main trunk, the problem, and the branches and the leaves, which are the consequences, then we go back down and we draw some shallow roots. And those roots are, we ask them, okay, let's try and figure out what are the causes of the problem. And so in this case, it was very obvious. Well, we don't have clean water. Okay, so this is going to jump right into a video that's going to show, okay, we have this obvious need in a way that the Christians can serve their community. And so what the video will show much better than I can explain is, and give you some really nice visuals of what does this look like, how do we share gospel and create a ministry around clean water in Indonesia.
Picture this, a little boy named Ari. Ari lives in a small rural village in Southeast Asia, a part of the world where clean water isn't always readily available. To help change that is an organization called Kingdom Workers. They're dedicated to helping villages like Ari's get both physical water and everlasting water. They meet with the leaders in Ari's village to develop a water solution based on what they need and what works for them. Then, with the help of local experts, the plan is put into motion, and the community works together to build the water solution at the local church. Clean water now means Ari and his friends don't have to trek into the jungle every day just to gather water. Now they have time to focus on things like education. And so Kingdom Workers is helping train teachers, adding Christ-centered materials into classrooms, and teaching kids like Ari the importance of nutrition. What starts with something as simple as water is helping change the entire future for Ari and his village. By the grace of God, Kingdom Workers is in Southeast Asia and around the world, connecting people like Ari to Jesus through sustainable ministries.
The effects of having clean water go way beyond what we can even imagine. In one of the villages with which I worked, they realized the blessing they now have in clean drinking water and water for cooking. And they want to take it further now. They're saying, okay, we've got this now, but now what can we do?
This water is only enough for us to drink, cook, and bathe with.
So now we're exploring other options of ways that we can perhaps maybe install aquaponics using a system of fish and plants to have economic growth but also health growth.
I
think that Kingdom Workers listens to what is going on here and together with our National Lutheran Church comes up with solutions with us together. They listen to the old people and young people of our community. We also reach out to the community around us, not just our own church members. Through our church and Kingdom Workers, we are able to serve the community as a whole.
We work alongside our brothers and sisters in Christ to train them so that what they're doing is not going to just be a solution for right now, but can also be a solution that is replicable. We see a solution being done in a certain village. People are there to help. They can take it home to their village or to another village and share the knowledge because they've been very much a part of the process from the beginning.
When people see our water tank, they ask us, "Why do you have this but we don't?" We tell them it is important to pray. We also pray that the people around us may also have water solutions for their villages.
The main thing we are trying to do in everything that we do is to share Jesus. If we can do that through water solutions and health solutions, great, but bringing Jesus to people, that is our most important goal.
According to what I see, there are new people coming to church to hear the Word of God. Bringing the gospel here is no problem.
No problem.
Through the blessing of prayers and financial help and support of people here at Kingdom Workers is being able to do a lot of really amazing things around the world. Working with children who have disabilities in Africa, working with school situations in Grenada, working with community gardens on the Indian reservations in Arizona. We are very thankful, and we hope that those donations and prayers continue so that we can even go into other parts of the world that aren't being explored right now, that so desperately need to hear about God's Word.
So when Christians help their neighbors in their community, they have a way to build closer relationships, build stronger bonds. It strengthens relationships between the church and their community members. And it's just a way that Jesus' love is manifested in our world and in their communities. And they start to have those conversations, the same conversations that people had with me when I was in my early 20s and needed to hear the gospel in my life. Those people have opportunities to, the volunteers working with Kingdom Workers have the opportunities to share the gospel in that way through our projects. This widow had no means to build an improved toilet facility for herself. And when Kingdom Workers first entered this village, they saw that our staff there saw that the people in the village just were not working together. There was a lot of internal conflict. This family would not talk to this other family, and these other people would not work with another group. But through a process of doing conflict resolution and sharing the gospel and talking about sin and grace, the groups, the villagers, slowly aligned in their values and recognized the importance of the Christian values that we were bringing into that neighborhood. And they came together to build that toilet facility for this widow. And the improved sanitation and toilet facilities and bathing facilities that they bring just, bring dignity to people who are made in the image of God in a way that maybe they haven't experienced before, and that's God's love in their life. Okay, this is my devotional thought for today, since I get to do the Bible study, so this will be my devotional thought. But you can see how the problem tree is actually expanding here. So I said that those shallow roots are what people identify as the main cause of their problems. So in this case, they said that lack of clean water was causing skin issues, which they saw all the consequences up above in their neighborhood. But then part of this exercise is to ask why. Why is there a lack of clean water? And then they say, well, we don't have money for infrastructure. So that root goes down a little bit deeper. And then we ask another why question. Why isn't there any money for infrastructure? And they say, well, maybe because there's corruption in the local government. And then we say, why is there corruption in the local government? And then they go a little bit deeper, and so on, and until we really get to some of the deepest roots of the problem here. And the real causes that we see are things like conflict. That might be conflict between neighbors or conflict between families. it's cases of greed. Maybe one family has some land with a clean water spring on it, but they don't want to share that with some of their community members for whatever reason. It might be mistrust between different groups or different tribes. It might just be cases of the environment. A lot of the times we see people don't have access to clean water just simply due to pollution. And so what we see is all this brokenness at a very deep level. And as Christians, and people who know the Bible, we can say the truth of the matter, that the root cause of all these problems is sin. And that really gets to the bottom of it, whether it's sin in these relationships or sin in the way we've treated our environment. Whatever the case is, we can really identify what that real cause of these issues are. But it's also an opportunity for the gospel to shine through. And the value of the problem tree is that it really drives us to our God for everything, for our life, for our sustenance, for our well-being in this life, because we recognize how tangled and how deep those roots of sin go, and there's just no way out on our own. And the only way to resolve any of this or start to resolve it is through the gospel. And so I guess as Lutherans, we can call this the theology of the cross, where we see in the weakness and the suffering that we see in this world is a chance for God's divine glory and divine power to shine through. And so we see that here, that we always carry around in our bodies the death of Jesus, so that the life of Jesus may also be revealed in our body. For we who are alive are always being given over to death for Jesus' sake, so that his life may also be revealed in our mortal body. And that's what we get to preach every day as we go about our work at Kingdom Workers. The man in the orange shirt is one of our field leads in Indonesia. His name is Pat Yunus, and he had this to say after the toilet project that you saw a couple slides ago. He said it was in a village called Niki Niki, and he said this about the village: before working with Kingdom Workers, people in Niki Niki rarely helped other people, and they were more concerned about themselves. It would have been very unusual to see the community come together to build a toilet for someone else. Before they start working now, they read God's word and they pray together that God would give them strength, health, and wisdom to complete the project well. Once the work is finished, they gather together to celebrate and thank God for all the blessings. And so once you were alienated from God and were enemies in your minds because of your evil behavior, but now he has reconciled you by Christ's physical body through death to present you holy in his sight, without blemish and free from accusation. I'll go back here, and I'm going to pause and let anyone comment or ask a question if there's anything that anyone has on their mind that they wanted to share or ask about.
What is the cost of a single project like that, and how long does it take to complete?
So the question is, what's the cost of a single project like that, and how long does it take to complete? So 2 questions, cost and time. And I think that there's 2 answers for both of those. So as far as cost, how much does it cost for a water solution or a toilet like that to complete? The local cost, because we were always trying to work in according to what we would call best practices in sustainable development. We do something called asset-based community development, which means we're working with the local community so that they contribute their own resources and build according to the technology that they have locally. So a village will come together and they'll probably collect all of the rocks and maybe the sand and maybe some other, if they have some money to contribute, they might contribute a couple $100s to a project like this. A water project that reaches maybe 25 homes in a village and maybe about, on average, 200 people, it might cost $2,000. And Kingdom Workers is contributing probably 70 to 80% of that. But then all the labor is done by local volunteers, so there's no labor costs. And that's $2,000 for the resourcing what we need to resource there. That doesn't include, maybe like the overhead costs of running a nonprofit, to pay people's salaries in the United States who are doing development to collect donations and stuff like that. So in general, yeah, about $2,000 would be a water solution that reaches 25 homes and 200 people. And then as time goes on, we like to check back in and make sure that they have the training they need to maintain their solutions and so that continues to bless their community for many years. The second half of that is how long does it take? So to actually install something may only take anywhere from a few days to maybe 1 or 2 months. But before we get to that point, it's 1 to 2 or even more years of our staff maybe going in and out of the community, working through activities like this. The first thing they do is they go in and they have a meeting with the village leaders and they say, these are the 5 Christian values that are most important to us, like evangelism and the sustainable development and other things like that. And it's only when the village is totally aligned with what our values are that we'll start the project. So that process of alignment and figuring out exactly how we're going to address the problem, that might take 2 years. But then actually doing a project may only take a month or so. But I think where we see the gospel transformation is because we spend that long period of time working on them and talking about what our Christian values are and what the gospel is. Is that a hand? Or is that a? Maybe not. Yeah.
So if I live there and I don't have a toilet or working toilet, and I have to wait 2 years for it, what is their reaction to that?
Yeah. So the question is, if somebody lives there and they have to wait 2 years for a working toilet, what's the reaction to that? I would say I haven't ever heard of a negative reaction. Maybe because over the course of a year or two while we're first entering a community, usually the first project that we're doing in a village is some kind of what we call a water solution, which means getting better access to water for the village members. And if that project goes well, then we start other smaller projects, such as maybe building toilets or something like that. I don't have a really great answer for that question because I don't know how people feel about it. They've never said, oh, this is a problem, we need a toilet faster, maybe because they've been living their whole lives in that situation.
Well, what you just
But-
said clarified it for them, because I didn't do anything for the first 2 years.
Yeah.
But you come in and
Yeah. It's kind of an iterative process of doing what we call seed projects in a process that leads to other projects down the road. But one thing I want to say to your question is what we see is once a group is maybe trained on how to build a water solution or build a healthy toilet, what they'll do is they'll realize that they can actually do this with their own local resources that they have. And if there's a village that we haven't visited for maybe a year or two, we'll go back there after a couple of years and all of a sudden they have more, they built more toilets, or they built an expansion on their water solution. Sometimes they're able to do that on their own, but sometimes they do need more resources, just a little financial assistance from us in order to do that. But once they've kind of got that mindset of helping their neighbors and working together, then they start requesting more, and they start to have a vision, oh, we can do this together and really make an impact on our community.
can you talk a little bit more about what your specific responsibilities are? Do you have people under you who are on the different islands?
The question was, can I talk more about what some of my specific responsibilities are? So my job is to lead our work in all of Asia. So I wanted to kind of give you a close-up of what we're doing in Indonesia, because Indonesia is where we reach. This year I think we'll reach a little over 4,000 people with our projects in Indonesia, which is by far the largest in Asia right now. Right now we're doing some disability ministry in Japan, and we're also doing some pilot projects with the same types of water solutions in northern Thailand with some Hmong people groups in Thailand. And so I have, you saw one of our field leaders. We have a total of 4 staff in Indonesia, 1 American and 3 Indonesians. We have 1 staff in Japan, and then 1 contracted staff person in Thailand that we work with right now. So my job is more of an administrative role to make sure that those people have the resources that they need to be great leaders in their local context. And yeah, I have a question back here.
How do you find the projects that you're going to have? Do they come to you, or do your staff people find them in the villages that they need to be?
Yeah, that's how we find the projects that we do. And it's a little bit of a combination of what you just said. We rely almost entirely on our local staff. Our local staff are all Lutherans, part of a sister Lutheran church body. So whether that's in Indonesia or in Japan or in Thailand, we're working and partnering first with the Lutheran church bodies, and they're, as local experts, so to speak, they can say, oh yeah, we have networks or people in this place that we can work with and do some work there and try to expand their church in that way. Sounds like the people are receptive to the gospel. Like,
who's the audience when you start as far as spirituality, and then it sounds like the stipulation is we will do this project for you, but we need to start with the gospel, and they're good with that?
Yeah, his question is everyone cool, or is everyone good with starting with gospel proclamation and kind of working into a project in that way? Every place that we work, especially in Asia, is different. So in Indonesia, even though it's a Muslim majority country, Christianity is legal, and so we're partnering with the Lutheran Church first. Our model, so to speak, would be something like this. First, we're going to work with a group of Christians at a Lutheran church and maybe demonstrate how they can build a water solution at their church at a central location, or maybe an improved toilet facility at their church, and really create like a healthy environment at this church. And so again, that's kind of more like a seed project or a pilot project that we would call that. And so it's very natural that the gospel would be part of that. But then as we do that, we're also training those Christians to be able to go out. And so then maybe their next projects are out in places where there aren't as many Christians, or an example of that is in Thailand right now. We did a project in February with a church there, but now they also have all these refugees coming in from the Civil War over the border from Myanmar in Burma. So the Burmese refugees are coming over, and they see all these opportunities to bring the gospel through those same projects to those refugees. So once they've started in their church and figure it out, then they can go out and do it elsewhere.
Since it's a Muslim country and most of the people are Islam, do you have any concern about terrorists coming in and destroying what you do?
She asked if due to Indonesia being a Muslim country, if there's any concern about terrorists coming in and sabotaging or destroying what we do. So we have little concern about that because in Indonesia, where we're working right now, is mostly Christian majority. Even though people have the word Christian as an identity on their ID card, I would say there's a word called syncretism, and that's where people tend to bring in all of their traditional animist beliefs into the Christianity that they learned from, the Dutch colonizers. So the Christianity there is really a mix of like their ancestral animist religion and some Christian beliefs. So we find that just teaching very basic Bible beliefs is in some ways is very important, because they need to have a solid understanding of the Bible. Where we've experienced issues with sabotage has not been due to religion or due to Muslims coming in. The sabotage is usually from like a neighbor didn't like that this person built something on their property, and the neighbor comes over and digs up the pipe and cuts the pipe or something like that. And so that's why we spend so much time in the beginning working on Christian values and making sure that the whole community is aligned with our Christian values to start this project, because otherwise it's more about family conflicts and tribal conflicts that tend to sabotage a project. The biggest challenge of working in a Muslim country is that we just have to be very careful with Like we want to do our work legally, so sometimes that means we have to do government paperwork, and sometimes that government paperwork will get stuck at a local office for months and months or years and years until we get on their good side to push that paperwork through. So it's more of just, something we have to be careful about, but we haven't, at least where we're working now, we haven't experienced issues with terrorism. And maybe we'll do one more question here.
Are there other Christian groups operating in the same area and if so, how does your group interact with them?
Yeah, so he asked if there's other Christian groups that are working in the same area. In particular in Indonesia where we work with another Christian group. That group is called Core Solutions. And they bring things like expertise just on maybe how to do a water solution with the local resources. It might be like technical aspects that we need training on. It might be like in the video they talked about health and nutrition, so maybe we work with another local Christian group who has local experts in giving a workshop on health and nutrition or something like that. So it all depends on the local context, if there's Christian groups available to work with, and if there are, we bring them in, as we need to fill gaps in our expertise, because our expertise is also very limited, both technically and culturally. So, there are opportunities to do that. Before I leave today, I just want to give a quick overview of ways that you can stay involved with Kingdom Workers here at St. John's in Wauwatosa. Actually, the first thing I'll do, I'm just going to make sure, I didn't bring any handouts today, but I do have a stack of my business cards, my name card, my name and contact information on it. So I'm going to pass those out here to anybody who would like one. And if you'd like to stay up to date with my work personally, the work that we're doing in Asia with Kingdom Workers, you can grab a card with my email address on it and send me an email, and you'll get a monthly newsletter from me about exactly what we're doing in Asia in the coming months and years. So many of you are maybe familiar with Jesus Cares Ministry, which is ministry to people with disabilities here in the United States. It is something that a group at any church, such as your church, could put together. Many churches will just host like a bi-weekly or maybe monthly friends group for people with disabilities, and it's just a fun time for people to get together, bring a group of people together and share the gospel in that type of setting. Volunteers, if you visit the Kingdom Workers website, you'll find lots of volunteer opportunities in the United States. There's Builders for Christ. I believe they're recruiting right now for people to go to Grenada to do some rebuilding after the hurricane that hit last year in Grenada. But they also have local projects right in Milwaukee also, in particular working on trades projects with Milwaukee youth, and so they do those type of projects for anyone who's interested in mentoring teens in construction. We also do support families who are fostering, so something as simple as providing some respite, like going and mowing the lawn or delivering food to a foster family as they're just working through all the busyness and hectic schedules that they have with managing foster care. One more thing I just wanted to mention too, we have something called a Christian Health Ministry Certificate. I'm going to jump down. So this is a collaboration with Wisconsin Lutheran College, and it's a professional development certificate in community health ministry. And the reason I love promoting this at churches is the way, if there's a group of the same type of tools that I showed that we use in Indonesia, like doing a problem tree, this program will teach you how to do that, but how to do it locally in your community. So if your church sees a group of people that they want to reach out to, that might be, let's say we have an international student population and we want to try and do ministry with them. This certificate program says, okay, get a small group together at your church, 3, 4, 5, 6 people. They take the certificate course together and learn how to design a ministry that would reach out to that people group in your community. And then finally, one more thing. This is for the young people who are younger than me. This is called an emerging leadership board. So this is for young people who are interested in this type of Christian ministry and want to learn how to do governance. So if you know any young people, if you are one of these young people between 21 and 35, and you want to learn how to do, see nonprofit management in action and Christian ministry in action and learn how to do that in a leadership role, you can reach out to us and learn more about this. And that's it. That's all I have. Thank you for the time to share, and I'm happy to stick around and talk individually. It looks like there's maybe we can get one more question in before.
I just want to, went through your whole presentation, but I just want to emphasize the idea that this is not dependent on called workers. This is not pastors and teachers. This is a ministry that we can continue to expand and send it even though we're so short of workers, because this is about working parallel with a Christian church, but it is not dependent on called workers doing everything in it, and that's what I think makes this really unique and worth considering.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. In summary, what Scott said was that our ministry is the driving purpose of why Kingdom Workers was created and formed was to give lay people opportunities to do mission work, whether that's in their hometowns through mentoring teens in construction, or doing ministry to people with disabilities, or something on the other side of the world. It gives opportunities for lay people to be involved with that. So thank you that was a perfect way to summarize the work that we do at Kingdom Workers, so thank you for that.